Everybody loves a rags to riches story. So brought my friend Nick Unsworth up from San Diego, and so Nick was completely broke at what'd you say, 28?
28.
50 G's in debt, and then turned it around through a series of steps we're going to talk about. And at age 30, sold his first business for 500 grand. So
A little over 500 grand.
A little over
Yeah,
500. Get
not
the
bad.
number. Get the numbers exactly right. So, sometimes when you're watching the news, you see these stories where somebody's broke and then they're the next Bill Gates and they make, $40 billion, and that's all great, but it's also good to understand that you don't always have to have a home run hit. You can just first base, second base, third base. And in fact, that's what Warren Buffett said Benjamin Graham told him. That's a safer approach. So let's talk about this story. Thanks for being on.
Man.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
So
Thanks
how
for
did
all
it feel?
Thanks for all the snacks.
He likes the snacks.
I love the snacks.
He likes
The chili at lunch was like incredible.
You're easy to bribe to come up and talk. We just get some food, $10 worth of food, and Nick.
And I'm there.
Yeah, you're there.
Speaking fee is like cheese and crackers.
So let's talk about mental state when you're 50,000 in debt. You're 28. Had you lost momentum? Did you have a college degree? Like, what's that background?
Yeah, so I mean, just a real quick, just to catch up to the college years.
Yeah.
Really fortunate with loving family. My dad just a workhorse. I mean, he had to work. Lived in Connecticut. He drove to New Hampshire and back every single day to work as a commercial builder. So he was just constantly sacrificing, constantly grinding so that he could put us through college. So as a kid, I saw that, and I never understood it. Just as a kid, you just think, well, why isn't he there?
Right.
But he was just grinding, and for me, I looked at it as I wanted to always have more. I wanted to be, more happiness, more freedom. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then, I was 6 years old. My brother was 9, so he had a paper route. I demanded half at 6 years old. So I was knocking on doors at 6 as a little kid. And just, collecting money, delivering papers, hustling. And 14 years old, I was picking tobacco on my hands and knees. I was making $7.50 an hour.
Where at?
In Connecticut, in Windsor Locks.
I didn't even know they could grow it up north that far.
Oh yeah, so the outside wrapper on cigars,
Yeah.
like the finest of the fine cigars, is actually Connecticut shade tobacco.
Learn something new every day.
But I mean, you're 100 degrees plus under the nets, and I mean, I would work 14-hour days.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. But so I always was saving money, and just trying to get ahead. Went to college, went to UConn. Totally wasn't like, I really wasn't into. I didn't like learning about science and other things. I just want to learn about business. So I ended up interning as a financial advisor at 20 years old because it was a good internship, and it was hilarious. I was selling whole life insurance and trying to talk to 40-year-olds about investing their money, and they're like, "Kid, what on earth do you know?" It's like being a 20-year-old life coach,
Yeah.
So from that experience, my mentor in that business sits me down at a coffee shop, and he pulls out this little flip book, and he's like, "I wanted to show you something." And he starts flipping, and he's talking about telecom, and he's talking about the deregulation of telecom and like the Bell companies and the baby bells and all this stuff, and long distance, all that was deregulated. And he's flipping through, and then it was all about network marketing. So 3 people who get 3 people who get 3 people. You build this
MLM.
huge empire, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, hold on. I'm like, Steve, so you're telling me instead of retiring at 65, you're telling me I can build this thing out, and in 3 to 5 years, I can build up enough residual income to not have to work or not need to work? And he's like, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, all right.
So you're selling Amway.
I'm like, I'm all in.
What was it?
It's called Excel Communications. They're a $2 billion company.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
And it's like you get cheaper long distance or something like that?
Ironically, it was actually more expensive.
More expensive. All right,
That was
that's
the
a
problem.
tough sell. Who wants to spend more bills? Sign up.
But that was the thing. They were like,
So if you could sell that, you would
said
have got good at sales.
Well, that's the thing is they said just go out and get 20 customers. That meets your quota. Then you just sell other people on getting 20 customers.
Yeah.
And so I got so fired up. I came home and I'm like, Mom, and I had one of those old Zach Morris cell phones. So I'm in my like college place and my dorm or whatever. And I call up my mom, and I'll never forget this because I was always searching for purpose and trying to find like my dream career in business. And I'm like, I found it. I'm like, I found what I'm gonna do. I found my purpose. And I started describing it. And then all of a sudden she literally started screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's a pyramid scam. She just kept saying pyramid scam, pyramid scam. And I'm sitting there and like literally I just like dropped the phone, the faceplate came off.
And by the way, we're not saying that all MLMs are pyramid scams. There's some decent ones.
There's some good ones,
There's
yeah.
some ones people make a little bit of money, but yeah.
So that was crazy. And
by the way, you know what you remind me of? Have you seen the Office episode where it's at the very beginning where Michael, you know, the main character, he comes in and he's like, whatever, he's getting ripped off in one of these, and Jim Halpert, the cooler brain guy, goes, this reminds me a little bit of when you wired all this money to Africa from an email, and Michael goes, what do you do when the king of Swahili or whatever's son is in need? You wire him the money. And it's a funny little. We've all gotten those emails where it's like, what is your
yeah.
what is your bank
done that.
account? I've got 10. You fell for that once?
So
My
you'll love
friend
this.
fell for one of these.
So this is a quick tiny tangent, but I think it's worth it.
No, it's good.
So
Go.
I was
There
always
are
down
no
to do
tangents.
anything to get ahead and to have financial freedom. And so one of those letters came in the mail, and it was a check, and it was like a legit check.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you deposit this, then wire the money to Swahili.
Yeah.
It was like one of those scams. But I figured if I deposit the check and it clears, I'm obviously not going to wire the money.
Yeah.
But what happened was my parents, just in case anything happened to them, so they had like a bank account that they had in my name too, just if anything happened to them, I'd have access to cash or something. I could never touch it. So what happened was the check goes in and it bounces, but it doesn't come up. I didn't have enough cash to cover it.
Yeah.
So then it pulled from my parents' account, so
Oh,
then
no.
they became aware of it.
Oh, so
and my mom ripped me a new a-hole. I mean, it was just like, I remember her just screaming, there is no get rich quick. There is no shortcut. Like,
There is get rich quick. What you do, you go bend a time machine, and with genetic engineering, and you change your parents to be the queen of England. That's the best get rich quick. See, my friend, you know what the best one? I won't say his name because this will embarrass him, but this may be the best story in the history of mankind. He also wanted to get rich. He always got ripped off on every late night, whatever. By the way, my shoelaces here. And so he sees in the back of a magazine a thing that said, become a professional male gigolo. If you've seen the movie Deuce Bigalow, right? So his thing, he's like...
based on a true story?
Yeah, based on a true story. He's like, dude, this is the greatest thing. It was a male escort. It was. And so he was just in from another country. I won't say which country. He moved to the U.S. He was going to university in New York. And he goes, this is great. I already like women. And you're saying women are going to pay me to take them out, seduce them and whatever? So he spent, it was like $300, and they give you like a whole little book on where to post ads and how to do it. So he gets the book. He's like, this is awesome. He posts his ad. This is back, I think, before the internet. He's older. Newspaper. And he said, all of a sudden, dudes were calling me. And I'm like thinking, this is escorting.
That's not worth it.
No, but he didn't get that, like, in the U.S., male escorts are mostly for
that's
guys.
true, yeah.
Okay, which is nothing wrong with, guys, but my friend was not gay. And so he was sorely disappointed when no woman ever called him. He was like, even if it was an old woman, I would have done, but he's like, yeah, so he lost his $300. So the moral of the story is...
There's no get rich quick,
No.
unless the king and the queen thing.
Yep. All right, back to our storyline here.
So what happened with network marketing is, for me, is I got so fired up about that business, and I talked to literally every human being I had ever met up to that point, and I was about 20 years old, and every single person that I knew said no, and most of them said it was a pyramid scheme or scam, and I went back to my upline guy and I said, Steve, man, everyone said no. And like, what do I do now? And he goes, all right. I'm going to set you an appointment with the millionaire who's in Connecticut, this dude, Tommy, and he's going to help you out. He's like, you just need more training. So I go do lunch with him. It's at Denny's.
Okay.
So
Where all millionaires eat.
there's some red, there's a little bit of red flaggage, but I'm trying to look past it because when you want something so bad,
Right.
the
Red flaggage?
warning
I like that.
signs, like forget those. So I, meet him at Denny's, and I was a little skeptical because of that scenario. But he walks in with his little girl, hand in hand, and he says, "I'm the only daddy at dance class. I'm the only daddy at the bus stop, and it's because of this company, because of Excel." And so right there in that moment, I said, you know what? I didn't care that every single person said no to me. Right there in the moment, I picked up this little magazine that went out to reps all over the world, and I looked to the back page, and it said Rookie of the Year. This dude, Stephen K. And I said, you know what?
And that was him?
No, just
Okay,
a
just
totally
a guy,
random
okay.
different guy. And I pointed and I said, how much will you get, or I said, what will you give me if I become the Rookie of the Year?
Huh.
And he goes, I'll buy you a $1,000 Movado watch. And at 20 years old, that
Right.
was, might as well said $1 million.
Yeah.
I was like, shook his hand, done. I will bet you, I will do it. And so even though I had no success, I just got all fired up from that. I learned how to market, it wasn't even
So
marketing.
you didn't get to the rookie.
I
Oh, am I
I
skipping?
did.
I'm messing the story.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
so basically,
Rewind.
So basically, I was doing in college, I was the guy in the cafeteria doing presentations. I was bringing in this
You were the annoying guy.
Yeah, dude.
You have a lot of friends, but you were making some money.
I created the future.
Were you doing it on dates when you're like taking a girl out and you're like, this is more than a date. This is also a business presentation.
I'd be like, hey, so how many friends do you have? Okay, you have
Yeah,
30
that's what you have to
friends,
do.
and if 30 friends each got 3 people,
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't take long till the whole world is in your downline.
So from that experience, what ended up happening is I ended up, recruiting. I was doing the presentations. I was a little bit annoying in college, building up a team and things. And I ended up getting the Rookie of the Year. Graduated from college.
Did he get you the watch?
Got me the watch.
Okay.
A couple months late, because
Yeah.
I think finances or whatever.
But he still got it for you.
But yeah, I still got it.
Because he didn't,
I
when he
still
said
have
he'll
it to
get
this
you
day.
the watch, he didn't say the day. He had a
Exactly.
90-day clause to get you the watch.
Yeah, and I think it was because of finances were tight or something, but we're a little sketchy. But anyway, I got the watch. Things were good. I ended up running with that business, and I was getting made fun of, and I was getting hated on a little bit. Future Millionaires Club, and but I could throw a good party, so I'm still cool. I
Right.
know how to throw some good parties. So I
Were you
graduated.
making decent money?
Yeah, I was making $4 to $6 grand a month.
Okay.
In
It's
college.
not bad.
Yeah.
Pay your way.
Yeah. And I said to everyone, I said, you know what? Because people were kind of hating, yeah, we'll see where that goes. It'll be gone in no time. And it's all right. When I graduate, the weekend after I graduate, I'm going to have a sick BMW. You watch. And so I graduate, I go out and get an M3 BMW, all that stuff. Totally reckless with money. And that was in May in 2004. After that, what ended up happening is by September, I'm growing the fastest pace I've ever grown. My team was growing like crazy. I'm pushing harder and harder. I turned down jobs, all that good stuff. And that September, Excel did this big annual event. Everyone goes there. They made the criteria to get promoted easier.
Yeah.
So I'm growing like crazy. I'm expecting all these big checks. And they went bankrupt out of nowhere. Didn't get an email, didn't get a phone call, none of that. We actually found out through word of mouth.
So that affected your downline. That affected the income. The business disappeared.
It disappeared. And the problem was I had all these young kids that signed up and they paid $400 to get in the business. And the company was like, you're beat, you're screwed.
So now you're the bad guy.
So I went and I paid for people that
So you
I
gave
paid
them
out of my pocket.
Yeah.
So I didn't accumulate much money because I wasn't making that much money, but I quickly went